time is 6:35. We'll begin the Tilton Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, July 10th. First thing on our agenda is the review of the June 26 minutes, and where they were rather involved. They're not ready yet, so we'll wait until next month for those. So that brings us up to Planning Board Case 18-7, continuation of site plan review proposal from Bill Colton to expand the existing roof hub to include exterior seating and additional parking and interior seating at 407 West Main Street. Yep. We had sent you home to do some more homework, and I see you brought Mr. Bernie there.
Yes.
Good man.
Good evening. My name is Mr. Bernie, I'm here for Incorporated. After the last meeting, I got a call from Bill about this, and we went up and did a survey. We took a look at the parking lot. This is configuration. Well, I guess what we found was with a lot of these places that just sort of developed over time, it really wasn't efficient the way that they were parking. It's not half-assed, but everything was at weird angles, lanes were too wide, and the asphalt was places that really didn't need to be, and wasn't places that needed to be. So we kind of sat down and just looked at it like we were trying to do it. We came up with this layout, 44 parking spaces, and all of them meet town's requirements for lanes and size of parking space. The net is a reduction of 207 square feet in impervious surface. Eliminated a lot of asphalt that's really unnecessary. Better defined the entrance and exits. Moved all the asphalt that was over here with barricaded this way. Created some landscaping opportunities close to the building. Kind of looked at the site as a whole, talked to the road agent, engineer room. What his concerns were. We are proposing, we did add some pavement over there. We wanted us to maintain 10 feet as best we could. Along here, road kind of veers off and we're 9 feet down here with 12 up there. We are proposing a chain link fence here, just a 4-foot. The reason for that is, well, make sure people don't park there anymore, drive through there like they have been, park there. And the chain link fence is a little bit better. The road agent wants to plow snow there, and the chain link fence is a little bit more stable. We put a stockade fence. Snow and this fence all the time. So with that, we much better define the connection to Deer Road, this location. Proposed a stockade fence here, mark that line. We can put both a fence and a row of evergreens around the dumpster. I want to barricade that and block that a little bit. We also, the town has just put in handicap warning strips for the crosswalks. There's 2 crosswalks, pedestrian crosswalk here. This is the cemetery, and we're going this way with the warning strips. So we are proposing to put one in here just for pedestrian, to let everybody know and care for that. There's a sidewalk and preserve and kind of, right now the sidewalks blends in with all the pavement, the broken pavement and everything else that's out there. So when this gets done, the sidewalk will be much better defined landscape strips on both sides. And I just try to improve the whole situation overall. That was my goal, that was what I was asked to do, but answer any questions?
So you've taken, it's very good, Mr. Holder. So you've taken the electric parked right out the electric company. Is no longer in there at all.
No, they are still on the smaller.
Do you guys want to maybe use the
It's listed as AES.
microphones?
Okay.
Come on up here. Are you gonna remove that, or?
No, Absolute is staying as well.
Okay, so how many parking spots did we need for them?
So Absolute employee is only there actually when the brewery isn't open. They're there in the morning. And then the brewery opens at 12. So they don't overlap. So what I wrote there is largest shift has 6 employees. So number of spaces designated for patrons would be 38. Which, based on the ordinance, I believe would give 76 seats, and I'm asking for 74. Or what I have room for, 74.
So with this new configuration, where's your snow storage?
We have, so I left room, so I kind of show some landscaping areas that are not opposite the travel ways. So there'll be snow storage in here, snow storage at the end of these travel ways, snow storage over here, and down in this corner. And I didn't note it, but I was thinking that this area back here has a large area for snow storage. This stockade fence we put in for protection. I was thinking that probably should be relocated. We should note that, put that on the property line. Instead of giving a lot more room for snow storage over there. I have a larger copy if anybody. It's easier to see.
I can manage.
Okay. Get better eyes than I do.
So on the east side of the building, proposed stockade fence, I noticed there's a retaining wall. Is that L-shaped
Yes.
thing you've got the stockade fence running through?
There is.
The yellow part is,
Yeah, so right here, there's an L-shaped end right here. And we started the stockade fence at the end of the retaining wall.
that's that retaining wall I saw.
Yeah, right here.
So the existing fence I'm looking at is actually off the boundary line onto the abutter's property.
Correct.
The retaining wall is closer to the boundary. Okay.
Well, you told us you were gonna do outdoor seating. Are you gonna hold off on that, or what's?
So the outdoor seating got moved to the front of the building. Yeah, right here in the front.
You can see it.
And I do have that on, I didn't label it as outdoor seating, but it's the patio on the front on the smaller plan.
That section asphalt or
tables.
concrete? Yeah, asphalt or concrete?
That will be concrete.
So those tables would be sitting on, is it existing concrete or is it asphalt?
It's asphalt now.
Asphalt now.
So you'll take that out for concrete in?
Yes.
And you've moved the entrance?
Another entrance just to get onto the patio.
It's going to be a raised platform where the seating is.
Yes.
And is that tables or just chairs?
Those will be table, just like a small round.
2 chairs for each one?
Yeah.
What did you put there to prevent cars from,
We don't have anything planned to prevent the car from driving.
Raised platforms.
Platform. It's,
is it pretty well lit there?
yes.
Yeah.
There is
I don't
2
think it is
lights.
right now.
There is 2 lights on the front of the building.
Yeah, I noticed that today.
Yeah, but I don't think it's really lit.
But you wouldn't want, it's going to be outside. So, yeah, I mean, people are going to be out there. Bugs. You wouldn't want bright lights, though.
No, but I want it lit enough so that people coming in
Yeah.
be obvious if there's people sitting there.
It is that light, at least. There's two 400-watt metal
Well,
halide
this
light
is the
fixtures.
curb. I'm usually leaving it that they're not.
Yeah, I figured there would be about 6 inches of curb there.
Yeah, for a barrier for traffic, 6 inches would be minimum, so. Should be because there's quite a pitch there away from the building.
Yeah, it'll be a...
So these arrows will be painted down as they are here.
Yep.
Right, that guy. Okay.
Any other immediate questions? Open it up to public comment? Public, come on.
The two space, coming in tonight, you only had 27 open spaces. I can see where you added some here and here, but you can't add anything behind the fence. You have all kinds of electrical, absolute, whatever, parking there, plus you have a van is still there. In fact, there's no parking available now. Is the other guy exiting the building and it's only going to be you guys?
No, absolutely.
He's still there.
Absolute staying, yes.
Well, then where is his vehicle?
So Absolute's only there typically mornings.
His vehicle's there now. There's no spaces open for people to park on that side of the fence. No.
I mean, that's why we're reconfiguring everything to try to clean this up a little bit and make it a little more pronounced of where the parking spaces are, where the parking is.
What vehicles are there now?
There's one guy back there, gets his truck is repaired, but that would be good.
And your kitchen staff's look like that too.
Correct, and so the staff I have on the next plan over, I have written, on our largest shift, there's 6 employees, so the number of spaces designated. We'll subtract from that, basically the employees need 1 space per employee, so that would be 38 spaces for patrons.
If this parking lot is lined with this,
The
and the
lines
abs-
go- the lines go away. The lines will mean nothing on this new one.
But
Because
the existing lines are gone.
they have to be. Yeah.
so when they redo this with the lines, then if the absolute truck happens to be there, well, that's patrons he can't have inside.
More than that there now, you just drive down there now and see what they're talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces, 1.5. That's one thing. The other thing is that you've been behind the building in the winter,
Yes.
where are you pushing snow?
So that fence that's there,
That's what he
Tim
just showed
mentioned
us.
that fence actually is on our property by quite a lot.
The
So
what is?
the fence that's there, that wooden fence.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying that where the car's pulling now,
Right,
there's
we
nothing,
can-
there's trees there. There's nothing like,
Well, we have, what a space, you know.
yeah, okay, so my question is, are you clearing all that out and you're gonna move that forward?
Yes.
Okay, that's one thing. And the second, the last question I have is, these were marked as handicap spaces which are wider. That's not on this drawing.
By handicap rules, they're required to have 1 handicap space and it has to be van accessible. So this is a budding, I'll show everybody down here. So, because we have less than 50 spaces, 1 van accessible handicap space, which is here. And so that is an 8-foot space with an 8-foot aisle next door. So that's that aisle next to it is crosshatched with paint to prevent people from parking there.
Yeah.
So you get, it's actually a 16-foot wide parking area.
Okay, just so I'm clear, attention to the board. You're expanding, you're adding places, and you're taking away a handicap space, that doesn't sound right. You have 2 now, you're gonna expand parking and then only have 1.
You go by handicap rules. So.
I know what the handicap rules are,
Right, so.
but not everybody has a van accessible. They have handicap is a walking disability plate, not necessarily just for handicapped people that can only drive with a assisted van that has an exit for a wheelchair.
Right, if you have one handicap space, you have to have at least one van accessible handicap space. So if you only have one, that one has to be van, it has to be van
So
accessible.
your plan is to only have one.
Correct.
Anyone else in the public?
I mean, the handicapped people don't drink in the aisle. Oh, I have another question. Looking at this drawing, I apologize, I didn't get it too long ago. But like we talked last time, it looks according to this drawing, you're only coming in here, but you're exiting and coming in from Deer Street. So all exit appear on Deer Street.
Yes, we spoke to the town road agent about that. He was okay with that.
Sure it is. And he's okay with parking on both sides of the street?
He didn't mention that as an issue. He said that if it becomes an issue, he'd talk about possibly putting them. I think Dari might be able to, Dari was there for that meeting. Do you remember what Brock said about the parking on Deer Street?
I honestly don't remember discussing that. I remember discussions here at the planning board meeting about that.
I just remember Brock saying, like, if it did become an issue, he'd have to go, talk to somebody about it, but it wouldn't necessarily be that he could just.
I think the selectmen
Yeah, he's talking to the selectmen about it.
probably.
It's already an issue if you've been in your facility during the high peak hours in the snow season. You can't get down that street.
Yeah, that's another reason. I mean, we're trying to do what we can with the law we have to make it so people park on our lot as opposed to the street. And the fence on that side is going to prevent people from being able to park, at least on the.
They can still park on your side.
There is a fence that we have proposed there to avoid for people doing so. We have to leave a buffer that Brock requested for 10 feet, so.
There's the road, there's 10 feet, then there's the fence.
Yeah.
And by putting the fence there, you're assuming that all the cars that park from here to the end, including sticking out into the brook, are not going to park there.
I can't assume that, but
But
that's.
as
They will park
any
there.
town person can call the police and have them enforce not parking.
Enforce what?
If they're parking too close to the intersection.
So you're saying that we don't plan on traffic being an issue, even though we're forcing all the cars to exit Deer Street, it's okay, as long as everything on the property is okay. The traffic is somebody else's problem.
No, the traffic is, Route 3 is the state's problem.
No,
Deer Street
Deer
is
Street.
our problem, and they've met with the road agent, and he's comfortable with it. And he's the one that we talk to about these things.
he doesn't live on Deer Street, does he?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. But what do the 16 people that live there and use those driveways do if this committee is not able to do it? What is our next move from them?
Go to the selectmen's meeting.
Because they are going to park there, and they know they're going to park there.
And go to the selectmen's meeting on Thursday night.
No, we need to immediately.
Yeah, okay. Because it's going to be a problem now.
If there is a situation whereby somebody's parking or whatever the motoring public is doing that creates an unsafe situation, that's an immediate call to police. I brought this up to the Board of Selectmen who didn't feel it was something they needed to act on right away. And Jill on the phone is with me for now, but I will talk to the chief tomorrow morning and let him know that there is a situation currently, whether this passes or not, that takes place on Deer Street that they need to be aware of and they need to monitor and prevent. And one of the things I think a condition on this should be no parking signs on your chain link fence on that 9-foot to 10-foot swath.
Yeah, so that's a good idea.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No parking.
Basically,
And then that, if, people park there and refuse to move, now you can call the police.
There's an opposition, if you will, of everybody that lives there.
They recommend that we
Would
put,
go away if there was no parking signs on this side of the street, on our side of the street, because you cannot see the cars coming down Deer Street. All I'm saying, and this layout exacerbates that, in that all exit vehicles will come out that and down Deer Street. Well, some will go out, but it just gets worse. Forget about winter. You can't see squat during winter because that's where the work is down.
why don't we put up a, approved no parking, MUTC approved no parking sign? Because I think that is what will be required so that the police can enforce it. So we want to put a note to put one of those signs up. If we just put private no parking signs on the fence, the police might not have as much. And I don't know if the selectmen
I
have
don't
to
think
weigh in
that's
on an official street sign.
You can't do that.
If that's you're putting signage up on private property, so it's not an issue for the Board of Selectmen to be involved in. You're putting it up on your private property to tell people you don't want people parking on your private property.
But if you put them on your fence, they're gonna park on our side of the street.
Well, it's an easy street.
Well,
Put it on
the
fence,
next,
face
so
it.
there's two parts. This is only one part. The second part is to get the police
I
involved.
agree. Well, all I'm saying, is that no parking between the two driveways would be great, but all I'm saying is, at least, from a compromise point of view, on the condo side of Deer Street.
So on the condo side of Deer Street, that again is what we had the road agent out for. And again, he, at this time, didn't see it as a problem because they do allow parking on the sides of the street as it is. But he is the one that ultimately, I guess,
Do you know
decides.
who he is, this road agent? Because
So, back to what I think I heard Mr. Bernier saying, no, private property owners don't have the right, I wouldn't assume, to declare sections of town road no parking areas. Is that right? So if they just go ahead and put signs on there on their own on that chain link fence that aren't sort of like municipal signs, or it's not a municipally ordained or ordered regulation, then it does seem that those would be that would be unenforceable.
unenforceable, it'd be a waste of time.
They have a 9-foot fence that goes up to 12-foot swath of land that definitely can accommodate a car
Okay.
off the street.
Yeah.
But it is in the right of way.
Yeah, but it's in the right. So the public has the right generally to park in the right of way, even if it's privately owned.
I can tell you right now that the right-of-way on Deer Street is undetermined.
That's
Well,
pretty
that's
pretty
not
narrow.
determined.
Yeah,
Your
you're right.
boundary
Most of
line-
that land is.
When I'm looking at this site plan, I see a boundary line that shows about 9 foot of area between your boundary and the chain link fence.
Correct.
And if I couldn't find any place to park and I had a little car, I'd slip right in there.
Yeah.
There's nothing to tell me not to. If you put up no parking signs, then at least, violators will be towed on his expense, but what I was going to say to you, the chief is very good about, if you call him, giving you language to put on that sign, even though it's a private sign.
Sure.
He's very good about suggesting that. I'm gonna have a conversation
With all
him.
due respect, no parking in any language hung on a fence on your side of the street is not, if they choose not to park there, they won't park on your side. First of all, it's not enforceable because it's on private land. The second thing is it's going to say, for the people that are judicious, they're going to say, oh, I'll park on this side. That's the side we don't want the cars on. That's the side you can't see. Do you ever exit a driveway? Excuse me. Have you ever gone through there and sat there and tried to look up the street?
I've never seen cars parked there, so I'm
Do
worried
it.
about it.
Tell me if you can't see cars coming out of the
Up-
field.
up Deer.
We've had a couple of people almost get hit because you can't see down Deer Street. Why? Because there's cars parked there.
I've never personally seen cars parked there, so.
All right, if nobody else, will close it to public. And does the board have any more questions for the applicant?
Nope. Regarding just, I mean, okay. I know what cars.
So this blueprint, or yeah, blueprint, sorry, this site plan shows parking. And it shows some outside seating. When you came in previously, you were talking about expanding the seating inside as well.
Those are on the next small,
What's that drawing?
well, I call it small windows. This,
So this is
that's this new proposed seating all combined. And on the left, that row,
Yeah.
outdoor seats as well.
Yeah, that's.
All right, so, and you're aware of the letter from the Tilton Northfield Fire and Air Mass dated 5/8/2018? Pardon? About the occupancy? So this shows the only business inside the building is the brew pub. I don't see electrical.
Yeah, sorry, I labeled it as AES.
Oh, AES storage?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry. I should have wrote it out.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like the only new thing is this new dining / pool table area on the inside.
Yes, on the inside, that is
Well,
the only,
besides the entrance and the patio, but on the inside, that's it.
that's the only, yes, on the inside.
Is there a fence in front of the seat, between the seating?
Yes, there will be, we're required to have a barrier, that's the exit, because of the liquor laws.
Just understand the fence, so it's sort of sure.
So there will be a fence in addition to the
In
curb?
addition to the curb, correct.
Yeah, I thought you would have to have a fence. You can't just,
Yeah, it can't.
alcohol.
Parking have separate fence off here, so that I can't hand the beer to my single girls.
Outside the fence or what? Yeah.
So everybody in the outside seating area will have to go back in the building and exit the main.
Correct.
So, existing seats are 60. Your current occupancy load as part of the fire district is 67. You're adding 74 seats,
Total of 74.
plus the 60. So that's 74 is
74 is
60.
the new total.
Everyone,
Yeah.
why don't you sit up here so
Sorry.
we'll save Dory's hearing when he's trying to listen to the tape.
Yeah, so 74 is the new total, so we're adding 14 from what we
So it's
have.
not 108 people.
No.
The fire district is showing that the proposed 610 square foot expansion would add 41 people to the total occupancy.
Yeah, so their
It'd be
occupancy,
108.
correct, yeah, their occupancy obviously is based on the square footage
Right.
formula that they have, and we're not asking for that many, obviously, because of parking
So
spaces.
you're asking for a total of 74 seats,
Correct,
period.
yes.
Not
And we figure that we have a total of 38 parking spaces for patrons. That takes into account the largest shift.
Which by zoning would allow 76, but
Right. So we actually have an extra space just in case. Not that it's extra.
That's good. We'll need that.
I'm gonna throw a wrinkle in here, Mark.
Okay.
That you need to have a separate handicap space.
I think you're right. I think it's
It's one for
25 and then another. So what we'll do is we'll swap it
One of
around.
those has to be an 8-foot space. It's not in space, it's, you have that there.
Right,
That's
so
what
what we'll do is we'll move the, since we have 2 extra, thankfully, well, it still counts as a parking space, so we'll put that in the middle, and then we can have,
Just one of them,
you are right, I was, as I was describing it, I was thinking, is that 25 or 15?
We
Yeah,
are,
you're right.
definitely.
But it still counts as a parking space.
Yeah, no, I know.
So we
but
wouldn't
it's
lose
just-
one.
You only see 2, and I just don't want you to get in trouble.
No, you're right, it needs to be 2.
25 to 50, or 26 to 50 would be 2.
All right.
So we'll get 2.
Oh, have to make that a condition. Yeah, that's just a aside.
It happens every time.
Occasionally I'm wrong.
What are the conditions list? We have the parking sign, but it's not really a condition.
I'm, yes, it's a condition. It's definitely like something.
No, I mean, for that one chain link fence, parking is gonna
I
be
just
private
don't.
things. The what?
I only just have made a list of conditions, but just of 2 things I wanted to remember to add to whatever condition.
Okay.
I mean, this is a condition unto itself. They have enforced regardless of what we do. We've already spoken to Diary about Deer Street. We've seen that we not generate a new driveway permit. The lemon seed, it looks like those star-shaped things might be shrubbery.
Yep,
That would prevent people from driving through there.
they're labeled. Bring the scale of it down a little bit.
So you get rid of that stone.
That may stay some stone with some of the shrubbery in it, but yeah, the landscaped area.
So the shrub areas I envisioned as landscape islands, and then loam and seed in between them because we need a place for snow storage. If you put snow on top of your shrubs, you're not going to have it for very long.
Yeah, people walk by and cut them off anyway, so.
An existing stockade fence on that northerly side is definite for snow storage.
And we can relocate that.
Yeah.
Do that, go out, give us handicap parking space, relocate that stockade fence. And there are no parking signs on the chain link.
Relocate the fence, the parking signs. Pardon?
I just have a question for John.
Yes.
This drawing shows your existing, we'll call it the third entrance, or the second one on Route 3 is going away.
Correct.
Correct.
So the 2 spots you have in now, they're going to be turned into shrubs,
Correct.
like it is.
Correct.
Yes.
How soon do you think you're gonna get that pole anchor relocated? Is that a guy wire from utility pole?
Yeah, it is the longest guy wire I have ever seen for a support pole. So I don't think they'll have a really hard time shortening it up a couple feet for us. I'm not sure why it's so long, but it is way away from the pole.
Long way. Is that, I guess it's curiosity, underground utility coming from that pole along the overhead? What is the underground?
Our building's fed underground.
Right, so it goes
Oh, no kidding.
across the street to that pole, then goes underground to the
It goes
building.
underground for now. It didn't continue, so that's why I was.
I'm not sure where it goes into the building. I bet your Bill knows. I should
It's
ask.
really more curiosity than.
A motion to approve planning board 18-07. At this point, I have conditions of approval for putting a no parking sign along the chain link fence on Deer Road. And how did you phrase that with the stockade?
Relocating the stockade fence.
Removing that or relocating that existing stockade fence on the north side. What's on the
Relocating the existing stockade fence on the north side
for snow storage.
for snow storage.
And then they're gonna have at least 2 handicap spaces. One of those will have to be
Annexes.
annexes.
Is that a condition, or is that just?
We're gonna have to anyway. So if you put it in there, you just have to have it out.
2 handicap spots, 1 van accessible.
Do we have any more discussion from the board on,
You could, for Al's benefit, just say comply with Tilton Fire and EMS.
I'll amend that to,
do you approve the amendment? Any discussion? Gary, did you get the,
What was it, comply with Tilton?
Northfield Fire EMS.
Okay, yeah, thanks,
Just for Al's benefit.
thank you. And, yep, I got everything else.
okay. Okay, then all those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You're set.
Thank you, guys.
All right, planning board case 1809, continuation of site plan review. Proposal from Mark Bourgeois to expand the existing MB attractive business to include additional outdoor equipment storage areas and associated stormwater management controls at 10 Bittern Lane Regional Commercial District.
Now, I believe they're requesting to continue that case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Which one?
1809.
The 10 Bitter Lane one,
Is that the back one?
the front.
This is
The existing, yeah.
1009 is the existing building?
Yes.
1809 is the existing, that we trying to work with.
Correct, that's what it says. Expand the existing.
There was some survey information requested, and they're working on bringing that, and we'll waste your time.
Do we have a motion to accept the continuance? Till the next meeting, which is a month actually.
When August 14th,
God, summer's going fast.
who made the motion?
Christine,
Okay.
Eric seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. Okay, planning board case 1810, continuation of site plan review. Proposal from Mark Bourgeois to expand the existing MB tractor business to include a new cold storage building and outdoor equipment storage area at 18 Bittern Lane in the regional commercial district.
Hello, my name is Erin Lambert with Novus Engineering. We were here at your last planning board meeting and we left with some homework to do. So I've come back with a little bit of additional information. And one of the things was the date of the underlying survey. And that was done in December of 2005 by the WSP group. So that was one of the questions that we had regarding the underlying base data that we've relied on. To fill in, because I know a couple of members, or at least one member wasn't here last time, the 2016 approval used a base survey, the one I just referenced from 2005. And when Mark Bourgeois purchased the property with the approved site plan, we're basically updating it for a new, smaller building. The site is relatively the same, but we're here before you because of the new, the different use, the smaller building, and some revised grading around that building. So one of the other items that came out of the review engineer's comments was that, in fact, there's a 100-foot buffer around the ice house pond. The previous approval and what we had moved forward with shows a 20-foot. So one of the things that is required is a conditional use permit requesting disturbance of that buffer. So we've submitted that conditional use permit, but obviously we just got it in because we just met with you 2 weeks ago. So one thing we're requesting is that maybe we look at this as a phased approval. We know that conditional use permit, you're going to want some time to digest it, get some input from the Conservation Commission. So we're here tonight because the building and getting permission to start the building, time is of the essence. So Mark has a schedule based upon the availability of the type of structure that's coming. So one of the things that we're requesting would be what we're thinking would be called phase 1, which would be approval just to build a building. No disturbance, no construction of the improvements that are proposed within the buffer until that conditional use permit, had adequate time to be reviewed and approved. One of the other items that is relevant to the building is the site lighting. And so we do have a plan that shows 8 wall pack lights around the building. And also some proposed poles within the parking lot. So the poles would be incorporated into those other site plan elements that would go back to the review engineer and presumably be reviewed in conjunction with things like the conditional use permit. But there are 8 wall pack lights that are fully downcast, and we do have a plan that shows those, and we can submit the cut sheets on those lights. The nice thing for the building, where it's situated, we're well below the businesses that are located to the west. So that light isn't going to trespass off of the site at all. And so those other site light poles would just be sporadically located through, but they'll be shown in the site plan that we'll resubmit. So we don't need to get into this tonight if we're just talking about the building, but we have gone through all the engineer's review comments. We had already submitted an AOT amendment regarding the stormwater. The conditional use permit and the lighting are 2 of the things we talked about, and all of the other elements are things that we've either added to the plan or are amending the plan, and we'll resubmit those. But there was nothing else in the review engineer's comments that was troubling. We have, for example, the calculations that support things like the flit storage. So all of that would be incorporated into a resubmittal that would be reviewed and presumably reviewed at the next meeting.
How would it impact this project if the alteration, the conditional use permit is granted in the 100-foot buffer? Will it affect?
Does it affect the Sorry, what's the question now?
If the conditional use permit is not approved to disturb within the 100-foot buffer,
Okay.
how will that affect this project? Will it
The process today or future?
future? Will it stop the project? Will it eliminate the project?
One thing that it would do would be it would change the approved stormwater features. So on the plan that's here, we've shown that blue line is the 100-foot buffer. So there's 2 infiltration ponds that were approved in the AOT permit. So those we're keeping as designed and approved. So those presumably would need to change. The other area that's in there is just the drive aisle. So it's none of the equipment storage. So if that weren't approved, we would have a challenge with the already approved stormwater locations. Do you want to elaborate on the site?
Yeah.
So it could go forward, is what I'm looking for. The project
No,
could
well, the
go forward, the
application-
building of the building, the use that you want to.
The implications right now would be that, first of all, a lot of the work is already done. The walls are already,
Right.
out of the wall, the retention area with the slope is already done. That's already done, a lot of money. The other problem is that the land was purchased from the seller with the assumption that this was all usable space.
Right, but my
Yeah.
question really, what I'm looking for is, if we approve this building
Yeah,
and you don't get the 100-foot variance,
yeah.
can you still go forward? And I understand it.
Oh, I can still go forward with the
building.
building, we'll have to deal with that situation after.
So it's not, if you
But
don't get it, it's not going to stop the
Yeah,
project.
no, the key thing right now is that because everybody knows the economy is so busy everywhere, we purchased a building from Morton Buildings, we're on a schedule, we're in the queue. And if we miss the queue and I don't have the permit to show them, they will not come, and I'm done for the year. So, because they're a national company, they come in with their crew and they put it up in 6 weeks. It's fast, but it's a great system, it works well, actually, they're
So
pretty
your building
popular.
isn't hinged on that.
Yeah, so it will definitely crush us in that respect. That's why we're trying to do, work with you guys, get everything you need, what you want to do. We have a timeline with that part of it. So we figured that because that is there, that is already done. It doesn't really affect anything that's happening there. We'll have to just deal with that other issue in the way that you asked us to do that, CUP, whatever. So we'll do that, we just do what
You
we
can
can.
still use the property as you intend.
Yeah.
Any other?
I actually, somebody said what I was gonna say, I don't remember what it was now. Basically, I guess, since I spoke with Mark's attorney just hours before this meeting, and what he's proposing seems to me to be a very reasonable way forward. They've submitted materials, they're accepting that we need time to review those materials, that the conditional use permit needs to go forward. And indeed, we talked about, what are the potential outcomes of this, and Mark covered it exactly. I think, if they want to, if they're ready to take whatever risks are associated with building this building, it's well outside the 100-foot buffer, and it's certainly less impactful than what was approved just a year ago. That's my 2 cents on the matter.
You don't have a lighting plan this evening?
We do.
Yeah. And this is the,
Sorry.
We get excited with the little things around here.
like you said, there's probably no lights we could ever put there that would ever affect anybody anyways.
I
but-
know, I mean.
But you have it though,
It's
so.
along a highway.
Oh, yeah, no, I just wanted you to know
It's
that
an industrial.
we're deep in the woods there.
Conscientious.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a residential neighborhood behind you.
If
Right.
I can't see it.
Yeah, it's not really, they're not gonna see the lights.
I don't even know, I don't know how, I've never seen it.
The lights from
Yeah.
Lowe's would affect them either.
That's up on the hill though.
Yeah. Here's this is a list of the fixtures,
Oh, okay.
the specs on them, okay?
All right.
They'd be in and outside the building.
And they're downcast, they don't cast up, they're fully downcast.
Yes, so it's good.
There's more lighting coming from Lowe's and Kohl's glowing in the air than anywhere
Very
there.
glowing.
So this is really not for public use. This is your place to store.
Right, this is not retail.
Extra equipment
Yep.
to replace that.
It's for us for warehouse and outside storage.
So you're not gonna have customers coming in and out there. It's probably not gonna be used at night.
No, I mean, just storage, it, no. No, my front one's not used at night either.
Sorry, pick it up. All right, they're definitely gonna comply with their ordinance. Yes. You're not supposed to say it.
Notes on questions. So what does all the board think about doing phase 1, phase 2 on this? Building phase 1 and then the stormwater, et cetera, catching up on phase 2?
It's a good idea.
He's willing to take the risk, so.
That's kind of what I read.
Origin.
I think it's, you have to look at the, reserve the drainage portion of it.
Right, so this is just to put the building up.
Your new display areas, it may tell me further in here, I'm sorry. Is this all gravel, or is some of this gonna be asphalted?
It's all paved.
So within the solid line, is this all paved?
Yes. If there's no gravel storage, it's all paved. I'm sorry, I should ask you what solid line you're referring to.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Well, now I'm looking at the blue.
Yeah, the blue line is the buffer setback, so the pavement is here,
That dark line.
yeah, and then here. So all this stormwater flows to this basin, and the rest of the stormwater flows in this swale to this basin.
So what differentiates those open storage areas? Is that just
Just open storage.
just
Yeah,
for your
just-
purpose of square
Just put it in
footage?
rows, pallets, crates of tractors and stuff, equipment, implements, attachments, what you see on our property now.
So those areas could actually increase.
I'm sorry?
The amount of area you use for storage could increase beyond those.
Oh, well, this is gonna help our problem in front right now. That's the main reason why we're doing this, yeah. So we can get some of, or a lot of what's out front, out back. We can park our trucks out back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can park trucks out back, we do that too, and, yeah, make it a lot easier. Trailers.
This is all equipment that hasn't been gassed up, or this is waiting to be fueled?
This is all brand-new crated equipment. It's in crates, it's, most time, or it's shipped on pallet type thing, it's all new equipment.
And you carry it over to the existing building?
We bring these in for assembly, and we put it on display, like we do at our other site.
That's where you're...
Nothing's changing in the process that we have currently going on today at our other site. Same thing.
Except you don't have basically offsite going on. So that's where you fuel it up now.
We fuel over at the other site. Where we do that.
So this is just metal and wood,
Yep. Yeah.
some plastic.
Yeah, nothing in what we do is going to change from what you see today, other than it's going to give us the space to spread out, be organized, and clean things up and make it neater, and give us some breathing room.
Right, but as we look at
But
just
we're not
this
changing
site,
anything we do.
we're just looking at
Yeah.
pieces of equipment without any additives, fuels, anything in it.
It's all just cool. Yep.
No.
We've done that.
We've done things in phases.
There's some procedure. I'll make a motion to approve half the project.
And then we that's in a month from now.
I have a question.
Yes.
If we approve this half, and they go to pave this, are they gonna pave here?
It's already paid.
Not here.
That's not paid.
Oh,
Sure.
it's going to be paid.
That's all dirt.
Right, but if we approve that, that gives them permission
No,
to
this
pave
is,
within 100-foot buffer.
what we're going to approve or not approve this evening is just the building. That's all part of the whole
I will
water.
pave that before we have the other part resolved.
Yes.
We'll have that within about a month it would take to do that process.
We'll be back at the next plan where it's.
Okay, yeah, we'll have our answer before then, okay? With it,
So we're just
with
looking
the
at-
letter.
Yeah.
No problem.
We're only
We're
looking
just
to
giving
approve
this.
the building.
Plow
There
back.
will be no payment done here before we have our answer. I give you the word, which I assume will be within 30 to 45 days, so I will be paid before that. Because the building would start the first week in August, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to complete the building, so I wouldn't even be looking to pay till after that, around there.
Which gives us time to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah, we just do something that you guys wanted to do, you wanted to get cleaned up, so. And
Right.
then we're like, then it threw a wrench in things.
Christine, did you have a question? Yes.
Put the equipment back together, we have it on display, now we're gonna bring it back.
Well, if we have too much stock in front, we'll keep some fresh stock out back there now. Like right now, we have the stuff stored that comes in right now. There's some good park there right now. But,
So I think if you're gonna keep this building, you should set it,
Christine, can you use the microphone possibly?
They took it away from
Well, maybe not Eric.
It's Eric's fault.
It's fine.
I think if we're gonna approve or potentially approve this building, we should be saying no fueled vehicles or fueled equipment to go back there. Because I just asked him if after they put one together, will it ever go back here to this storage? And he said it could.
my question would be,
So without the other stuff.
why would a brand new piece of equipment has fuel oil in it not be allowed to be stored on my property? I mean, there's cars at AutoServe stored all over the lot, everywhere. It doesn't make sense. It's a storage. It's, the cars you have on the street right here have fuel in them. They have oil in them. Cars everywhere. That's what my property's for.
Are you talking about fuel, the actual process of fuel in the vehicles, or are you talking?
Dealing with any spillage of oil or gas or anything like that.
Well, yeah, we're not dealing with that right now. Right now, you're looking for approval to construct a building, and that's where it ends.
Well, to get my building permit, yeah. And then ultimately,
To get
my
the
building
building
permit
up.
is to use my property like
And
I
then-
use it now.
To use the property for your cold storage, you're still gonna have to come back here.
Yeah, once I build a tractor, or if I have an excavator or a track loader, if it doesn't have fuel in it, I can't move it. It weighs 12,000 pounds, 15,000 pounds. It needs it. It's again, it'd be like telling AutoServe that they can't park the cars they park across the street up there, across some, everywhere. I mean, yeah.
But we're just strictly approving just the building.
Right now, it's just the building.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you approve the building for the next 30, 45, just so I can get the guy to approve and start building. Yeah, once the building's built and this other thing's cleared up 45 days, I assume I can use my property like I normally would, right? Once the letter,
I don't have a problem with it.
that conditional approval, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think, that probably will come
Yeah.
about as whatever drainage, whatever.
I don't understand.
retention ponds we end up with. If you don't have if you don't get your your permit for the 100-foot buffer,
Yeah.
then we're gonna be redesigning.
Right.
What
Yeah.
would that-
Basins.
Right.
well,
I think what we're saying is we fully understand that the rest of the site needs to come back and be fully approved before the pavement's in, before the drainage is in. And so we understand that this approval is for the building, and we're going to continue in sort of a seamless fashion with this conditional use permit, the other elements of the review comments that are outstanding, and continue forward in a timely manner, knowing that we're going to want to continue to construct those improvements immediately following. So
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, so how would we word this?
I would,
Go ahead. It's all you.
Let's just throw Dari under the
I should have
bus.
worked with Aaron on this before the meeting, but, I guess, approve, pursuant to, maybe not say approve case such and such, but an approval pursuant to case such and such, to allow for, phase one, which includes the construction, which includes only the construction of the storage building depicted on the plan.
No
Would that be
paving.
a partial?
I mean, I feel like there are probably a variety of ways we could do it as long as we're very clear, and the minutes are tight and the letter is tight.
Yeah.
You can look at this two ways. You could say they came to us for an approval and we gave them an approval, but we scaled it way, way back to say you can't hardly do any of what you're asking for. You can only do this building right now. But the thing I don't like about that is it suggests that there's some finality, whereas if we say phase one, then we're saying, okay, we know you're coming back. We're not suggesting that this is the end of the process. So I guess I prefer that way.
And is that enough that he can get his building permit? He's going to
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Ask for it?
What Dari said.
All right. Make a motion to approve Phase 1 of Planning Board 18-10, which Phase 1 including
Construct-
just the construction of the building depicted in the plan. That's it.
Oh, actually, public comment, I know there's probably no one here, but that's all right, good.
Close the
Sorry.
public comment.
Second.
Any more discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We make very, very clear that we're just a building.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
very
her motion was
You
good, I
guys-
think I got it, yeah.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't want to misunderstand
I know,
it.
you-
I was like, wait a minute, I gotta, but no, we'll get the letter done, so you get the notice out, get that process cleared, and then we should go. So, thank you very much.
All right, planning board case 18-11 subdivision. Proposal from Milford Trust to subdivide one lot into 3 at Sanborn Road between the Eversource power line easement and 152 Sanborn Road in the industrial district. Get this little stick. Try. All right. We do what's behind you? You don't have it?
Does anyone need anything? Material
Tyler?
supplies?
Oh,
Oh.
all right.
Anything bar?
Should we have made a motion to continue him?
We did on the first one. Yeah.
Oh.
No, the second one.
Not the second
Oh, the second one we didn't.
We only approved the building.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just need to make a motion to
Continue the rest.
continue.
Yeah, if you guys can do that, I'll grab them and let them know.
Okay.
No one else is left.
Okay, Catherine
Yeah,
made a
thank
motion.
you.
Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye.
Fine.
All right.
Good one.
Date?
August 14th. Works. All right. All right, did you guys get the butters questions too? Haven't had a chance to read.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
this is
new.
this is, yeah,
Well,
it's, you've seen it before. Did you see the, hello, did you see the questions from the abutter?
No, I have not.
I'll let you have a copy too, just so everybody's on the same page.
Get an extra copy of that?
Thank you.
industrial district?
Yeah. It's gone back and forth. There was some like time where I think there was a town meeting to put it into one district, and then the next year there was a town meeting to put it into another district or something like that. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, yes, I mean, it was originally zoned for residential. Well, there it is.
This is,
Heard the case.
yeah, Dory,
Mm-hmm.
back when they were here originally,
Yeah.
this seems like Groundhog Day.
Yeah, sort of, except
Okay, so what's,
last time they were here to find out, to sort of confirm that the existing subdivision,
Was
in
no
fact,
longer
is
valid.
null and void. And so, now they're back to create a new one. Is that accurate? Okay.
Well, there was another time we were here also.
Oh, that's right.
For conceptual to talk about the change of use.
Yes.
And we were told just to submit everything and then we could talk to the board about it. So that's why, and to be, there are aspects of this that I know this is going to get continued, which is fine, which is great, but it's basically just to get this before you so that we can discuss it.
does that help, Eric?
Yeah, sure.
No, I had the same thing.
I'll go back.
This.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen
What
it.
year that was, Dory?
16.
Thank you.
I don't, okay.
I can go back and look at the minutes.
What
16
do
was
you-
when you told us we couldn't do the 6-lot subdivision, that was
It was 6 lots,
nullified.
right?
It was with a cul-de-sac with 6 lots. That's okay.
But there was like a plan that had like a little going.
Yeah, that was,
If you look at the tax map, it's still on the tax map.
It
Yeah,
is.
actually, yeah. It'll be corrected in the next few months.
So this is in the industrial zone, and the request is to use it for temporary storage of manufactured homes. What's part of the special exceptions?
Don't we have to, accept the application first?
Well, it depends on which one you're working on, I guess. If you're working on the Chairman Tilton, are you guys looking at the subdivision application or the change of use review or both?
There you go. I was gonna say, which one should we go with?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we gotta start with subdivision, because you don't need the change of use if you don't have a subdivision.
Okay.
Right. So yes, we're working on the subdivision.
So that was, we have to accept the application.
Right.
So I make a motion to accept the application for planning board 18-11 as substantially complete.
Do we have a second?
This is a discussion.
Give Christine the second.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Yes.
All right, any opposed? All right, now you can discuss. Missy. Is it Missy? Yeah. Actually, you have a question on the change of use, right?
If we're looking at subdivision, I mean, the change of use can't take place until we get a special exception, so if we're just looking at the subdivision, we'll just deal with that first.
Yeah, we're gonna start with the subdivision.
I don't see on here where it tells me how much of, especially lot 1, is wetlands as opposed to dry land.
under where it says, lot 1, says upland 2.012, and then below it says total area is 2.5.
Oh, so the upland is
So it's
wetland?
the difference.
Upland is wetland?
Upland is dry.
Oh,
So it's the difference between the two.
Yeah, okay, good.
I put the upland on there, not the wetland, because that's what is required.
I'm just, I'm sorry, I'm just used to seeing them. It's seen it presented differently. Nope, that's okay, thank you for explaining that.
You've already got your DOT permits for them?
I do not know.
Got 0.5 or so.
That'd be a lot one, right?
Lot one.
Two point one two five.
1.125 on lot 2. Which is vast, okay, right. .152 on lot 3.
So it's a 20-foot buffer? It's a 20-foot wetlands buffer?
Oh, yes.
Lot 3.
Yes.
Which one of these is the existing drive? Either of them?
There isn't an existing drive on the lot. There was an illegal drive that was placed on the lot that has since been removed.
I was gonna say, I drove in there about 15 years ago.
Illegal.
Illegal. So the access to the property was made, but official driveway permit was never obtained from DOT. Is that what I'm
Not
hearing?
that we have records of.
Okay. So neither of these is that original around there?
Yes. Oh, and just for the record, the illegal driveway was not put in by my client, it was put in by somebody, some unknown person.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was,
With me.
before you, I remember when it was put in. It was supposed to be helpful. So I'm wondering if we should, approval should be gotten from New Hampshire DOT for these driveway entrances before we approve the subdivision, because that might have an effect
Where they're gonna be or
if
they can
things
be.
have to move, right. They're not gonna accept a driveway. I mean, it's two section of wetlands, that one has to go over.
Both driveways have to cross wetlands. The northern one is just crossing the wetlands that is basically the roadside ditch. And then the southern one crosses that wetland that has, and I put it where it had the islands to do the minimum impact. Also, this will require a conditional use permit from this board also.
And that hasn't been applied for yet, right?
No, I was just, because I was trying to, you know,
The conservation only meets once a month.
Oh, yeah, they meet in a week or something, is that right?
The third Monday.
Oh. Yeah, is that next
So
week?
if they don't have it to look at for next Monday, they won't look at it again for a month.
I can get it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
I have everything done.
All right.
Actually, to be clear, it'll be Thursday before I can get it to you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
It's up to it's up to them.
Okay,
As
whether
soon
they
as you
take
get
it.
it to me, I'll get it to them. In fact, if you send me an email tomorrow and remind me, I'll let them know to expect one, and maybe that'll help.
Okay.
I'll try and remember if you can remind me.
Does anyone else see any other things they could be working on this next month so that they can be in tight position? You've got the list of concerns from the abutters.
Yeah, so.
Oh, do you have a copy of that?
Yeah, I just got
gave her a
I
copy.
just got a copy.
Oh, okay.
The line of trees on the right side of the property is not visible on the plans. Does this proposal include removing any of the large trees presently that act as a visual and geographic boundary between the two properties? It's more than just the, I mean, yes, to put in the northern driveway, the trees will be removed there. But between there and the northern property line, additional trees would not have to be removed. So some, some but not all. There still would be, that's a 20-foot setback, so there'd probably be 25, 30 foot of trees that would remain, but I could show that on the next plan.
Thank you. Second, number one question.
I noticed the change of use review form is incomplete. Would the existing tenant use to be eliminated or changed? If yes, the developer needs to explain what the intent is of the property. I mean, that goes to the change of use form. I guess that'll be next. So the next number one, I noticed he has two driveways, as we just said.
DOT approval on that.
It says, does the development have enough frontage of land to allow both driveways? According to the DOT regulations, yes. According to your regulations, yes. You don't have a frontage requirement for industrial land. So we will be submitting this into DOT for their approval. The last number one on this page, I believe there are wetlands on the left side of this property, so has this been addressed? And if not been addressed, how does the developer plan to allow the disturbance of the wetlands? Obviously, we'll get the appropriate permits.
Any other questions at the moment?
Oh,
Yes,
there is another abutter question if you're doing public comment.
we even got to public comment.
Oh, okay. I would call the email public comment.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's.
You're right. Abutters?
Yeah, hi, I'm Melissa Howard, I'm Bruce's wife, I'm representing 152 Silver Road. Just a couple questions, I just more or less want on record, because it sounds like this is going to continue. But just curious, with a 3-lot industrial subdivision, has there been any thought or consideration to how that would affect the market value of the residential properties adjacent to that?
It's zoned industrial, so he has the rights to put industrial use on here. So there is no need to do a market study to show that.
Second question I have is, what are your plans for the lot adjacent to the residential property? You're doing a 3-lot subdivision, and I read that you were doing like a storage for trailers, but you have 3 lots you're subdividing, so I'm just curious what you're doing with that.
Basically what it is that when my client originally bought the property, he thought he had 6 lots. And because of zoning changes and time that went past, he did not. So at this point in time, he is basically, I can show that we can meet the regulations for the 3 lots. So he wants to subdivide it into the 3 lots, which is the most amount of lots he can get there, to get them to the point that they're grandfathered and they're allowed lots. He does not have any specific development ideas for any of the lots at this point. They would have to come back for site plan approval if they were developed in the future. All he's looking at, and it's what we'll get to on the change of use, is to be able to temporarily store manufactured housing on here, just basically to handle the overflow from Camelot Homes.
So that 20 to 30 foot tree sort of buffer on that northern line from the residents, I would really be able to see storage of trailers.
From being out there and the massive amount of work the surveyors had to do to be able to find that property line through those rose bushes that we weren't going to, the invasive species of rose bushes that we're not planning on cutting down. And also what he's looking at doing is putting the houses basically more to the west, away from that corner where it's flatter. So, he wouldn't be looking to put the houses right up against that property line. It's more just to get in there and then be able to place them. Will you be able to, see some of the houses sitting there? Probably, especially when the leaves aren't there. But it's, it's just a storage of the houses. I don't know if you want me to continue or wait till the change of use. But it's, there's not going to be that much traffic. He's just going to go put there until, the site's ready and then come and get them and take them away. It'll all be pretty much during the week, normal working hours. And, it's a pretty benign, quiet use that he's looking to use it for at this point.
Bruce Howard, 168 San Juan Road. I recently applied for a driveway permit on that road with Mike Kimball, with DOT, and I was refused because something with the traffic and too many driveways, they go back to a certain amount of land per driveways in that area. So I have tractor trailers that I can turn into my lot. And I wanted to get them out of the road easy. They wouldn't want to do it. They wouldn't want to put more driveway. So I can't imagine they're going to put 2 more driveways in that short distance. But I think it's probably going to go back to a single driveway for that amount of square footage of land. It's just my guess. I don't know. You have to look into that. But I was denied, it was last year, at this time last year. It's my concern. Thank you.
I know.
Close the public. Does the board have any additional questions? Maybe wish to continue this till next month? That gives you all kinds of things to work on.
Well, I knew it was coming, but I'm glad to get it started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get the dialogue going.
Right.
I mean, I think I remember this vaguely from last time, but how many trailers are we talking about back there?
That would be on the change the use application.
That was it.
We'll be discussing that next.
Oh,
Change the use.
okay.
Not on the
Yeah.
subdivision.
All right.
What'd you thought? That's all. Any other questions? Do we have a motion to continue
Make a
to
motion to continue
August 14th?
planning board case 1811 to August 14th, is it?
Yeah.
Is it August 14th there?
Yep. Yeah.
There you go. Selectmen will pay for it. Like that? Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, let's go on to the change of use. Now we can ask all those questions. Oh, you're right.
So, change of use requests, if you look under commercial and industrial, basically everything is a special exception. Outdoor display, outdoor storage, merchandise, permanent storage trailer container is all special exception. Flea markets are not permitted, and self-storage facilities is the only thing that's permitted. And it's not a self-storage facility. I couldn't find anything that's in homes, but since it's a merchandise that you're selling, I was looking at outdoor storage of merchandise. I don't see it under industrial,
The,
anything that,
the only other, if I could, Kat, I don't want to interrupt you, can I start talking?
no, I'm good,
I want to keep talking.
Well,
All right.
not the chair, ask her.
Under accessory uses, there is, what is it, outdoor storage, boat, RV, or camping trailer is permitted. And it does seem like it could potentially be considered an accessory use, but I would agree with Dawson,
it's not about recreational vehicle or
pushing
camping
it,
trailer.
right.
That's
What's that?
I looked at that, but I just couldn't make it a camping trailer.
No.
And during, I guess during that year, it wouldn't actually, it would be the primary use, so.
Yeah,
And when does the zoning board meet next, or when would they have to have it in to be able to meet with them?
The ZBA would meet again in August. They
Do we
meet
meet in
next week, it's too late for that.
Do we meet in August? There's a skip, well, it's December that we skip, or what?
Oh, right, yeah. So they could get before the ZBA in August.
What date, no, before us?
Oh,
No, it'll be after us. Because it's always the Tuesday in between our Tuesday.
but you could, I suppose, do a conditional approval. Say if you get, if, you know, you guys, you could, just throw it out there.
If it's special exception, we can't approve it. That's-
No, no, you
And
could
if we
say,
did
you could do a
that,
conditional, well, you could say, all right, what we're looking at is, assuming you guys get whatever approvals you need from other departments or boards, do we require site plan? I mean, that's really the question. Is this requiring site plan review, regardless of whether it requires other approvals?
yes, because if you look at our subdivision regulations, which are quite extensive, site plan, or site plan, and subdivision is part of site plan, which I just read. That's pretty extensive in what is required. So this is really the first use of this property, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think we should be providing in such scattered premature subdivision, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So when you're site planning, you have to look at subdivision regulations and drainage. What are they going to be sitting on?
Right, yeah.
Storage, public ones, to be honest, there's a lot of questions. Lighted.
So you can get together with Dari to get on the zoning board docket.
But what's, I'm sorry, does the planning board have a decision, or are you guys gonna vote on whether you would require site plan review if they obtain all other necessary approvals?
Instead of the change
I
of
would
use.
suggest that we site plan review this, as I said. It's the
Well,
first
that's
use
just one of you, I'm trying to get
So,
a
you know.
decision from the board.
what does the word?
Yes, I think so.
Eric?
Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay.
No, that's okay, you're allowed. We prefer if you're thinking. It's a nice thing.
That's a yes.
Thank you,
I mean,
Mr. Pyra.
if you want to do a motion, that would absolutely nail it down.
Right. So, I just lost my agenda. So, you want us to make a motion that, planning board, well, these aren't divided into two different cases, only the subdivision is listed here.
I think you're making a motion on, you reviewed this conditional use permit, and it sounds like, you know, you guys are leaning toward requiring site plan review, so I'm just asking if you could put that in motion, just so it's an official board decision. It probably holds weight up if you don't, but it just kind of
I'll make
puts
a
a
motion
dot
that
on the
planning
I.
board,
cross
case
on it.
18-11, site plan, be required to come back for a site plan.
All right, thank you.
Because the subdivision's coming
Second.
back, subdivision's coming back anyway.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Sorry, I'll help you get that portion going. Keep this moving.
So are they still coming back August 14th for zoning or what?
They're coming back on August 14th, well, that's, they're
For the
continued to
subdivision.
for their subdivision application. Potentially, they would be ready for a site plan review application, that's, you know, that remains to be seen.
Do we have correspondence this evening?
No, let me just double check, I didn't.
Did
I
we
don't
not
know.
get a letter from Belmont about an impact study?
So we did.
Yeah, right, so, or I think I emailed that to you guys, right? There was a development potential regional impact, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't heard back from any, we couldn't talk about it.
You know, I have a question about that. This old tire green is trying to.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it.
It's on here.
I saw the email.
I kind of read through it, but it didn't look that interesting.
Sorry, what was that project in Belmont?
I don't remember.
Oh, good, it's not alone.
Yeah.
All right. Does the board know of any other
There was
business?
something,
Any other business?
I think we.
We do what he does. All we do.
Defined there, under,
Sure. This particular parcel that we looked at, that just came before us, through the years, what happens is they come in, they're subdivided. So it was subdivided into what, I think 5 house lots.
6, yeah.
It's a 5-year
Window pass.
window pass because they didn't do anything. There is no municipal sewer and there is no municipal water to it, so they can't put that infrastructure in.
yeah.
So what is substantial completion? So I suggest that you read that section
Substantial completion.
in here.
Okay.
It is, way up there. Because that's what they keep getting caught in, is that 5-year grace period. It's 674.39, 5-year.
Are you saying we should define substantial completion and
Well, the
act on
problem
substantial
is,
development?
this property keeps getting caught up in that because there's no municipal utilities. There's no water, there's no sewer. So what infrastructure are they gonna complete that shows they have any kind of substantial completion?
They could put in water and sewer. They could put in
They could
wells.
put in wells, they could put in septic systems
Put
if
in a
they knew
roadway.
what they were going to do with it. But that's the
Right.
problem, as was said here, and I didn't want to influence them, that's why I'm bringing it up now. They don't know what they're gonna do with them.
Yeah.
So until they do,
It's difficult.
what do they put in? And then 5 years goes by, they haven't used it, they've got a special exception for one lot, and the other two go boop, because now zoning's changed, and it's no longer industrial.
Right.
It goes back to residential as something strange.
Yeah, because once people see this, they're gonna be like, wow, I'm not living in the industrial.
Well, you have the neighbors complain because it is this little nose that sticks out off on the west side of 132. If you look at it, I don't think it makes sense, but whatever.
So you get a subdivision approval and you say, I want my grandkids to be able to sell these lots one day if they want to. Then, yeah, you're done. The minute you walk out of that planning board meeting, you've already
5
met
years.
active and substantial completion and your active and substantial development and your completion, you're done. You created this tract of land that your grandkids can sell off one day.
Active and substantial development of building has begun on the site. These are provided basically.
But
Active and substantial development of building has begun on the site.
But that's not defined.
Development remains in full compliance with public health regulations and ordinance specified in this section. At the time of approval and recording, the subdivision plat or site plan conforms to the subdivision regulations, site plan review, and zoning ordinances then in effect at the location of each subdivision plat or site plan. And it goes on and on and on.
so am I getting you understanding you right? You're saying what happens if you approve a subdivision that doesn't involve any building of roads?
Right.
And shouldn't they be and I'm thinking, yeah, they should be able to walk out of that planning board and say, I'm done. I'm vested.
Industrial, but you at least expect driveways.
But if they don't seek approval,
Doesn't have to do that.
Failure of a planning board to specify by regulation or as a condition of subdivision plat or site plan approval what shall constitute active and substantial development of buildings shall entitle the subdivision plat or site plan approved by the planning board to the 5-year exemption described in paragraph 1.
yeah, but
So if we don't specify what that is, in 5 years, if they don't have any kind of substantial development, they're done. They go, if they're not immune to zoning board changes.
Here's the other question.
Or
Okay,
zoning
so
ordinance
he had
changes.
5 lots. Say he put the driveways in and put wells in, and then the town, in its infinite wisdom, made it industrial. Wait a minute. He was already okayed and he had already started his project.
then he's probably okay there because in that case, that's substantial completion. What they're saying is you got to get going within 2 years and you got to finish within 5. But I think if I'm getting Catherine's point right, she's saying, what if all they seek is lot lines? They're not asking to build houses. They're not asking to build driveways. They're just saying, I want to cut this piece of land into 4 pieces. It seems to me that the minute they walk out without approval, they're already vested because they've already achieved what they're trying to achieve.
Not according to this.
Yeah, according to that. Because that's saying you have to build what you say you were going to build.
No, that isn't what it says. That isn't what it says. It isn't what it says.
I'll let you 2 children fight.
Yeah, we keep going. I think that's what it says. It
I haven't
doesn't.
done that for a long time. No, you should feel
What
really
if
good.
you? I mean.
Boys and girls says chairman, I'm shutting you
Anyway,
off.
read it.
Any other
Oh,
correspondence?
I can.
Read it.
Let me run down and get
I'm
those.
pulling rank.
I'll run down and get those Belmont the letters from
Oh, yeah.
Belmont so you can have them right in front
Well,
of
do
you.
we have any other business?
No.
That's the Pike Industries.
Oh, that's right.
So read it. So that we have our own.
I will
That's
read
why
it.
that's why they keep losing it, because there isn't substantial knowledge. And it does say that they have to have a substantial.
Now, it is not fair, young lady, to continue after he left.
Ouch. Okay, we'll have that conversation tomorrow.
No doubt. Do we need impact in an opinion to Belmont, or they don't care? They just send it out, and then if we
Yeah,
respond, we
they were courteous.
respond.
They showed us no courtesy to send the letter. You might respond saying thank you, but at this time we don't have any concerns. But I have
So it
questions.
sounds like they want to meet their, or they're.
It had to do, it had to do with the quarrying, and the was it Pike's engineer
Oh, is that?
pointed out that they were, their mapping was incorrect.
Are we talking about this?
Yes.
Oh.
If you read their engineer's report, is this everything you sent to us?
No, there was the link. There was a bunch of links in the email.
Okay, if you read through it, you'll see that Pike's engineer is telling them that their mapping is incorrect.
Why would a zoning board grant that, I wonder? That's gonna be an interesting one.
I know, I was
I think
thinking,
ZBA is granting variances on environmental stuff is kind of weird.
I was gonna go to listen. That might upset them.
Barry, do we have this on the town website?
No.
Just for the residents of the town, it might be a, you know, if it is a regional impact statement or notice, so it would be,
Look at what he sent on the email, because there are, like I said, there's more documents, and there is that argument from Mike's engineer. It's kind of interesting. Well, basically, this is a mapping.
The dirt on it.
the dirt, haha, the quarry. Very good, very good.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Already have one.
Second.
Two's always good.
All those in favor?
Why, yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can stay here. The rest of us shall leave.
Sorry to hear that. I appreciate that, thank you. I watch out for you. We gotta get you and Christine your own microphone.